I experienced SCJ and I was once in John Tribe's Hall for around 8 months. I'm not sure whether I'm now withdrawn from SCJ or not. Nowadays, I heard SCJ is not withdrawing people from their member list, even though they say they want to leave, since there are so many people who are leaving. However, I'm definitely a person who experienced SCJ and left. I heard there are not only Koreans, but many foreigners who experienced SCJ. I am sharing this in order to help them in any ways as a form of communication to give empathy and consolation to them. When people outside view people inside SCJ, they ask like this: how on earth can you trust and follow someone whom you don't know and study the Bible? How come you understood and believed this kind of nonsense? However, I definitely know since I experienced SCJ, everyone has a chance to be recruited and probably already once have met SCJ person. I was recruited into SCJ through NB. Once I was window shopping at a shopping mall. 2 girls seemed like college students ran into me. They smiled and said they're interviewing people for their documentary project. I used to ignore people on the streets, but unlike them, those girls looked young. Moreover, they showed me the poster for the documentary project and I was relieved. I thought, would something bad happen? I had to join their conversation since they were standing at my both sides. It naturally went on to a short survey. I didn't take it for granted, but later on, I figured out those survey questions were all made in order to naturally gain my personal information. For example, they asked me which food I like and my favorite restaurant, then asked my recommendations for the restaurant near my house, so they figured out where I live. They asked me what I am interested in and asked my major to figure out whether I am a student or working at a company. Also, they asked me which hobby I have and figured out my leisure time and my schedule. The problem is that I didn't feel threatened at all. They didn't seem they are related with cults. After the survey, we met for an interview on the other day. After the interview, they asked me if I am interested in self-improvement counseling. They promoted that their project team is in relation with one social enterprise which provides 5-time counseling for 20s or 30s. At that time, I had concerns regarding my career and relationship with people around me, so I told them I'd like to receive that counseling. That was how my recruitment started. I met a SCJ counselor who disguised herself as if she is a real counselor. At the first meeting, a SCJ counselor shows her name card or employee card, even website to make sure the person trusts counselor. I received few counseling which all ended up with the conclusion saying I am empty and I can find the reason and answer through the Bible. I remember I was so shocked to hear that because at the time I was struggling with my slump, relationship with people, and with my inner self. I couldn't agree more with that result. I felt that counselor named my emptiness and loneliness which were there deep inside my heart. Those feelings were inside me, but I didn't care in the past. But that counselor made me face those feelings and explained why I had those inside me, explanation with 3% of psychological reasons and 97% of their doctrine. They called this consultation, counseling, and I was being counseled. At this stage, they don't give me solution, but keep asking questions. 5-time counseling was about to finish. Then I naturally think with fear, what should I do now? What will happen if I don't receive this counseling anymore? When the counselor asked me if I want to receive deeper counseling, I told her yes, since I thought it was solely for myself, a precious opportunity I can get help. And of course, that was not a counseling but BB, which is SCJ Bible Study. There are many steps for the recruitment. Among them, counseling made me feel emotional, stimulated my inner self a lot. After approving her proposal, SCJ Bible Study started. We read KRV version of the Bible during BB lessons. Those experienced SCJ will know, BB is an important stage among the recruitment regardless of which religion you used to believe in, whether you are atheist or not. Everything was new to me because I was anti-Christian. I can confidently say I didn't have interest in religion before. Even when my whole family were baptized into Catholic, I strongly refused to get baptized. Suggesting Bible study to anti-Christian, the answer is simple. That person will definitely refuse to do so. However, SCJ do not easily allow such thing. There are further plans already made when the recruitment started. It takes minimum 1 to 2 months or even 1 year maximum. That means between the day they approached me at a shopping mall and the day I did the interview, there are many steps and feedbacks being done which I did not recognize. They build trust by spending time together, having deep conversation so that when you were asked to study the Bible, you would answer yes. In my case, I told everything to BB teacher which I didn't even share with my family nor friends. She gave me warm-heartedness, and I liked that. Just like this, SCJ people do whatever they can in order to recruit people. And that person never knows he or she is being recruited. What he or she perceives is that meeting is counseling, not Bible study. SCJ people do not use word BB in front of fruit. They do not reveal themselves as SCJ. They do not reveal until the fruit enters SCJ center class, even after. People sitting around you at center class are also deceiving you. First, the two girls at a shopping mall deceived me, then the counselor, and then another counselor whom taught me the Bible, then 강사님, 전도사님, and leaves at center deceived me. They didn't reveal themselves and spend time together with me, took care of me, always texted me. This is scheme which is famous about SCJ. One important strategy for them is not mentioning religious stuff at the beginning. If those two girls asked me to listen to Bible words or talked about religion at the first time, I would just ignore them and went along. However, they were not honest. Instead, they lied to me. During BB classes, SCJ people were considerate. They didn't force me to do something. If I seemed not to understand the lessons, my BB teacher asked me if I have any questions. She said something like, "What do you feel about today's lesson? Was it okay to understand and accept? That's alright, it's okay." I was hostile to Christians or even religious people in the past, but I didn't feel awkward while meeting SCJ people. I didn't even feel weird when they taught me how to pray during BB class. As I think of it now, the reason I didn't feel weird was because they didn't say it is Bible study. They told me we are studying about myself and religious thing is just a tool for each lesson. SCJ people are not eager to make fruit believe in God. They don't force people to believe in God. They just made me feel the necessity of the Bible. They endured and made step forwards until I realized understanding the Bible means to know myself through the Creator who created me. They challenged my prejudices towards religion and made me have new concept about religion. One of the BB lessons was about religion. My BB teacher told me the word religion in Chinese character means the highest teaching. And in Latin form, religion means to reconnect. Religion is to reconnect mankind with the Creator. I nodded my head. It was totally new for me. It seemed logical, theoretical, and practical. For me, religion was just for weak people, for self-justification which deprived from selfishness. But BB classes made me change the image of religion. It became the highest teaching for me, which I can seek for answers while going through hardships. It triggered my curiosity. After BB classes, I entered SCJ Center and studied the Bible 3 hours a day. There are elementary, intermediate, advanced level. I went to center classes 4 times a week in the evenings, and elementary was hard for me since I had to tell lies to my parents. I told my family that I'm studying English. Later on, I went to center 5, 6, even 7 times a week. I was outside every day. I didn't hang out with my friends anymore, even didn't join family gathering nor vacation. The time I spent with my loved ones, my family and friends, were replaced by SCJ Center classes. I deeply fell into SCJ teachings. Finding myself through the Creator was interesting. One of the pride SCJ people have is we act according to the Bible. We interpret according to the Bible. During elementary level, they teach parables by finding each and every verses in the Bible. For example, what is the meaning of seed which Jesus spoke to his disciples? The answer is in Luke chapter 8 verse 11. Jesus said seed is God's word. According to SCJ, we should not literally read the Bible, but understand the writer of the Bible so that we know the true meaning inside. Some people at Center were happy since they now can understand the 4 Gospels. What attracted me regarding the SCJ doctrine is that they give definite answers, not in vague, and injected a lot that their answers were not from their own thoughts, but from the Bible. Most of lessons were interesting. I tried to memorize all the verses we went through. As I studied more and more, I became passionate. 전도사님 told me to ask questions if I have, so I sometimes asked questions. Then my 전도사님 answered my questions until I fully understood. As I think of it now, I slowly became accustomed to SCJ's way of thinking. They make people have dichotomous way of thinking. They teach the concept good and evil. Asking questions and hearing their answers made me become more confident in SCJ teachings. I didn't recognize at that time why they kept insisting on KRV version only. They emphasize a lot that we should not read other versions of the Bible, nor English, Hebrew, nor Greek. The reason is because their doctrines only fit well with KRV version like a puzzle. And when you make a picture with those puzzles, it leads to Manhili in the end, saying he's the only person who received the open book of Revelation. Center class started around end of February and finished on August, and 100,000 graduation ceremony was planned at the end of SCG year 36. That ceremony was to celebrate Bible study graduation and entrance ceremony in SCJ. It was held in Kintex, Goyang City in Korea. I was one of the graduates. I remember I was so blessed when I saw graduates from abroad, so many people sitting with me at that place. How come so many people were deceived and recruited into SCJ? When I remember the day of 100,000 graduation, I feel sad. There were even graduates from the suburbs. Approximately 60,000 people were at Kintex. It was more like a crowd. Lots of people were recruited into SCJ, and we didn't notice we were deceived. We just had confidence that God's history is being fulfilled inside SCJ. Thinking of it now, I feel heartbroken when I think of them seeking for God in Shincheonji, even though God isn't there. People who recruited more than 2 people received evangelism prize. I don't remember his name, but one graduate gave a speech in front of people, and he was a pastor or maybe evangelist, and he said he evangelized his whole church. If that's true, that is a terrible thing. While in SCJ, there were lots of big and small incidents. After all, I decided to leave SCJ. I went through hard times until I finally made up my mind. If SCJ had small errors or had little corruption, it might be difficult to leave since there are churches with problems in the world as well. But I checked myself that SCJ makes bad use of people's faith. I do not regret my decision. And now, people who are close with me blocked my Kakao, even Telegram, because I tried to persuade people when I decided to leave. I tried to make them realize the reality of SCJ but failed. Due to my attempts, SCJ people now consider me as a betrayer. This makes me so sad. How can I explain this? I was really close with my center colleagues, spent time with them more than 5 times a week for 6 months. They were my brothers and sisters. After I entered SCJ, I became 부구역장님, and I became close with my 구역장님 as well. We relied on each other, we shared our concerns, difficulties, and we shared our feelings. Also, the place I thought I first met God the Father was a pseudo-religion, without mercy but with greed. The memory there, where I gave my full heart, left a burn inside my heart. After I left, I am now running in parallel with them. I cannot meet them anymore. It took quite a while for me to accept this fact. If there were no one around me, I might also become far from God as well. However, I didn't decide to do so. I remember one survivor from Jim Jones' town was interviewed, saying, "I felt like every day that I survived, I was flaunting it in Jim's face. It's not Jim Jones and the people, it's 917 people and that other guy." I think the same. It would be good if Manhee Lee is imprisoned, but that's not my authority. Even though I was deceived by him, I will now live freely with Creator God and enjoy precious daily lives, and I will not repeat my mistakes again. I realized only believing in oneself without the help of others and God is arrogant. Likewise, Manhee Lee is not a counselor, not a new Joan, nor a chairman anymore. He's just a weak, selfish grandfather. People inside SCJ and I became apart now. I will wait for them, but that's all. I won't feel guilty that I left them and live my own life freely. Even now, my experience in SCJ is becoming further going into the past. It might hurt me. However, in the present, there is no SCJ in my life now. This fact makes me feel freed. Maybe in the near future, I might be praying for them in SCJ. I hope you're the same. If my testimony helped you, I'll be happy. I hope you return back to your ordinary daily lives. Thanks for listening.